Testing this. Is this on? Oh, this is on. This is on now. I'll be on here. It's on. It is. This is on. I'll be on here. Going to take another few. We're going to take another few minutes. Testing 1, 2. Stephen, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Is that you, Lynn? I can't hear you. Is that you, Lynn?
It is. There's just a long delay, so give us a moment.
Lynn, you look like the invisible man here. You see the microphone and chair, but no person.
Maybe he just shrank.
I
Hello,
know.
Matt. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
I guess the schedule must be behind. When were you supposed to present? Do you know?
Um, I just thought we were all supposed to be here at 1:30. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and then I got here early because
Yeah, me too. So, are we a panel? I'm not even real. I'm not sure.
yes, we're a panel. I think we have like 10 or 12 minutes to speak each, and then there'll be questions.
Okay. And what are you talking about?
I'm going to talk about some European systems.
All right, Matt and Stephen,
Well,
there
good.
is a delay on the audio here, so this is going to be tricky. Please wait. You're being broadcast to the room. All right, I think let's move forward. All right, so this is going to be highly imperfect, but I'm going to keep working on it. There's going to be there's something like a 5 to 10 second delay between when I say something and when it is broadcast in the room.
Okay, everyone. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Okay, so we're still having some technical difficulties. There's going to be a delay. You're going to hear me.
Matt and Stephen, Mike is giving you an intro in the room. There is this really long delay that we're still trying to troubleshoot, but things are coming through okay. So we're going to move forward. I'll give you the signal for when you're going to start.
So Lynn, we probably won't be able to do like Q&A with the crowd given the 10 second, or you'll have to really moderate it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, just tell us what you want us to do. I've got those
And
slides.
Stephen, you'll be going first here.
Okay, I've got a few slides. I'll just share them.
Yep, absolutely. Just share them. It'll work fine. And go forward. Stephen, yeah, if you can hear me, go ahead. Yeah, start your slides. Go ahead.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Stephen Erickson, and I'm the founder of Citizens Rising. And I'm really excited to be here and happy to be here. You guys have a really important job, and I'm honored to be a part of it. I brought some slides I'd like to share with you. So if you just bear with me here a second. Okay, well, so today what I hope to accomplish is to show you how Los Angeles can be far more democratic and specifically by eliminating the role that professional politicians play in city government, and also how you can dramatically expand the role of everyday people in the governing of the city. And finally, and importantly, how we can massively reduce the role of money in politics. So let's get started. I don't know, maybe some of you follow The Economist. Every year, The Economist ranks the most livable cities in the world. And here I have the top 3 ranked: Copenhagen, Denmark, Vienna, Austria, and Zurich, Switzerland. Out of a score of 100, you can see they score very well. Copenhagen gets perfect scores in stability, education, and infrastructure. Vienna, strong healthcare, culture, and transit. Zurich has exceptional healthcare, economic stability, and safety. And then you see Los Angeles there, which is down at number 63. There's 130 cities in total. 63 is not a very good ranking, especially when you consider that many of these cities are in the developing world. And at the bottom of the slide, you'll see that the average score in the rankings is 76.1, and Los Angeles with a 76, that puts LA below average. And then each of these cities is also scored through public opinion surveys. So the European Commission asks these European cities, the people of the cities, how they would rate their own city. And you can see that Copenhagen, Zurich, and Vienna, the way their governments are run, are appreciated by the people who live in those cities. And then we have Los Angeles. The Luskin School of Public Affairs regularly surveys the people of your city, and you'll see the score isn't that good. It's 53 out of 100. 53 ties the lowest rating in the survey's 10-year history. And this persists. The key issues: a mid-50 score signals broad dissatisfaction among residents. Cost of living is a huge issue, and I happen to know that homelessness is as well. You guys know the problems in your city better than I do, so I don't want to belabor these points, except to say that LA is pretty far behind the leading cities in the world in terms of resident satisfaction. Now, here's something you may not know. I want to direct your attention to the column on the right. Now, you'll see there Copenhagen has one city councilor for about every 12,000 inhabitants. And then you look down Vienna at the column on the right, you'll see that Vienna has one city councilor for about every 20,000 city residents. And then you get really democratic when you get down here to Zurich, where you'll see that Zurich has one city councilor for every 3,500 roughly city residents. And then you have Los Angeles, where you have one city councilor for every 250,000 people. So just take a look at this for a minute. One of these is not like the other 3. And this is really the most important thing I hope you'll take away from my presentation. These cities are governed in fundamentally different ways. Los Angeles is very typical of an American city, where you have a few professional politicians who are elected from very large political districts. And to get elected, they have to raise a huge amount of money. In LA, that could be as much as $2 million per city councilor. And they raise this money from special interests, from the same interests they are supposed to regulate, in order to market themselves to their own constituents. So if it's necessary to raise $1 or $2 million to run for office, what is the likelihood that you're going to have a city council that is truly representative? Who among ordinary people could possibly raise that kind of money? In contrast, and I should add, your LA city councilors make, I believe, over $200,000 a year each. In contrast, a city like Zurich is run by the everyday people of that city. They keep their day jobs, they make part-time salaries, and they meet at night or on the weekends. So the difference between the best run cities in the world and Los Angeles, a key difference, is the best run cities are actually run by the ordinary people who live there. And in Los Angeles, well, it's run by professional politicians. So on this slide, we reimagine what it would look like if Los Angeles had a city council based on the same ratios as these other three successful cities. So in other words, if Los Angeles had the same ratio of one city councilor for 3,500 residents as Zurich, then you'd have a really big city council. It would be 1,111 members, right? Then you look at Copenhagen. If you had the same representation ratio in LA as Copenhagen, you would have 320 members on your city council. And if you had the same representation ratio of one city councilor for every 20,300 people like Vienna, then LA would have a city council of 129 members. Now you see here that I've added Cape Town. Why is that? Because Cape Town, South Africa has a city council of 231 councilors. So in other words, if LA were to switch to one of these more successful, more democratic models, you wouldn't even necessarily have the biggest city council in the world because Cape Town might have you beat. I think the larger point is, and this just, it's a bit counterintuitive, but the real danger is not having a city council that is too big. It's having a city council that is too small. So you guys have a very important job, and it's to advise your charter commission what you believe the next move should be. So there's a number of concepts that you're going to be thinking about as this process goes forward. So one of the most important concepts is the role, I think, of committees, city council committees. Because when you hear that a city might be governed by 200 representatives or even more, you probably think, well, that's crazy. How could that be organized? Wouldn't it be chaos? The fact is the work of government is done in relatively small committees of 10 or 12 people. So a large city council then is not a bug, it's a feature. Like a large city council lets you have many more specialized committees that can look at many more different city problems. Okay, thank you. So city committees can be organized by specialty. They can be organized by geography. So there's nothing to fear from a large city council. Many hands make light work. And these committees provide an opportunity for the people of Los Angeles to really and truly oversee their government. Money in politics is a huge problem. Indirect elections is a way that helps remove the role of money in politics. A large city council could in turn elect your mayor, which is what they do in European cities. Subsidiarity, that means like federalism. That's when power is devolved from the city government down into the neighborhoods, like Watts. In German cities, the boroughs of Berlin, for example, have their own mayors and their own legislatures, right? Deliberative democracy, what we're doing here, could be incorporated into a new city charter. I put proportional representation in red because I'm concerned about that idea. If you want proportional representation, you're not going to get the role of money in politics out, because if districts are small, it doesn't cost much money to run in them. But if you have large multi-member districts, you're not going to solve the money and politics issue. So I just want to red flag that. So I'm just going to now move to my last slide because I know I'm running out of time. These are my recommendations. Consider calling for a thorough citywide deliberation about the city charter to remake the charter. Follow the path of Iceland. LA has a larger population than Iceland, so it's a pretty good model. See what worked there. Have a thorough deliberation. Have it on the web. Let it take place over the course of many weeks. As in your recommendation to the commission, ask for a system that gets rid of professional politicians and puts everyday citizens in charge, like you have in these successful cities that I've shared, Zurich, Copenhagen, and Vienna. Three, consider how subsidiarity and deliberative democracy and direct democracy might be incorporated into a new city charter. And finally, once this deliberative process is over, I suggest that you insist that the new charter created through a very popular deliberative process be put on the ballot for a citywide vote. So thank you for your time. I look forward to and let me just say, this is my contact information. You have my phone number. I'm here to help. You can call me. I so appreciate what you all are doing. And it's really important. And if we could have a democratic revolution begin in LA and spread out the rest of the country, it would be so wonderful. So you have more power than you think. I hope you will use it to strengthen democracy everywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephen. Matt, please stand by while I read your bio off mic, and I'll let you know when to begin your presentation.
Okay.
Matt, Mike is giving you an intro right now.
Cool.
Right, we're on. Go for it.
Okay,
Awesome.
Matt, you may begin your presentation.
Great, thanks. Thanks for inviting me to join you all. I'm Matt Leininger, VP for the National Civic League. The Civic League is kind of an interesting organization. It was founded at a time when democracy was in trouble, when trust was high and polarization was low. No, trust was low and polarization was high. Sorry. It was founded in 1894 by Teddy Roosevelt, Louis Brandeis, and a bunch of other civic reformers of the day. And it was associated with a lot of those reforms of about 100 years ago, which basically kind of set the template for the way we do local governance even today. Now we feel like we're kind of up against the same question, the same challenge. How do we kind of take innovations that are out there, including many of the ones that Stephen you just mentioned, how do we take those and plug them into our systems to make democracy better, to make it run as it should? These are some examples of the kind of work we do. The thing at the bottom right is relevant here. We have maintained the Model City Charter since 1902. The most recent version of it was released in 2021. It was the 9th edition, the first to uphold engagement and equity as core priorities of local governance. So we were asked by you all and by the Charter Commission to kind of do a little research about city council size. And I think one thing to kind of think about when you're considering this question is like, what are you trying to achieve here? What are the kind of variables, including some of the ones that Stephen just talked about? So some of the things you might be trying to achieve are, efficiency in public decision making, representation in a couple different ways, representation of the socioeconomic diversity of the community, and also representation of particular geographic areas, neighborhoods, parts of the city. Another important one might be better public engagement, giving people a chance to actually be heard in policymaking. There's probably others. I would have, if this was a more interactive setting, I would ask you to shout out some, but I think that's not going to work with our 10-second delay here. So I'm just going to plow on, and maybe we can do more of that later on in the time. So one thing also to think about is, what is the local civic landscape that you would be kind of, that you're facing when you're thinking about how to restructure a city council. One resource for this is our Healthy Democracy Ecosystem Map. That's a link to it at the bottom. I've just zoomed in onto LA, or greater LA, I guess this is. And basically what it's showing here are all the different sorts of organizations that support healthier democracy. Groups that are doing civic education, they're doing service and volunteerism, supporting that. They're doing public participation of various kinds. That they could be doing deliberative democracy. All the different colors of the dots here are kind of different categories of work that supports healthy democracy. So that's one way to kind of understand who's out there and how you might kind of involve these different sorts of organizations in any work on charters or engagement generally. Then here's a different sort of map, which was produced by Hari Hahn and her colleagues at Johns Hopkins. The project is called Mapping the Modern Agora. Basically, what they have done is mapped every single social capital opportunity, civic opportunity in America. So anything that has, any group that has members, that has meetings, that helps people do stuff. So it's a tremendously broad set of groups. But you know, the map I just showed you, we have about 12,000 organizations in our data set. They've got 600 and something, 600 or 700,000. So, but it's helpful to understand, kind of, because this is like the ground floor democracy. This is how people connect to one another in their neighborhoods. And so thinking through that, you know, kind of that layer is very important when you're thinking about things like representation or engagement. And you can go to their website and kind of zoom in more thoroughly. What I've got here on the right, actually, I think I've got a blow up of this. This is greater Los Angeles. And part of the point that Han and her colleagues are making is that, you know, just like other sorts of opportunity, civic opportunities are distributed inequitably. You know, that neighborhoods, communities that have lower levels of wealth and, you know, the schools aren't as good, things like that, they also have lower civic opportunities. So it's that sort of equity question is something to think about when you're thinking about these sorts of questions as well. This is basically just the same sort of chart that Stephen just showed. This is just American cities, the top 10, and similar sort of situation here where as Stephen pointed out, where Los Angeles is certainly an outlier. You know, 262,000 residents per council member is much higher than any other one on the list. I guess New York is probably second, and San Diego is third. So it's certainly different from the others as far as the number of council members per number of residents per council member. The typical reasons people give, and these are reasons that people have grappled with for 100 years, basically. I mean, the Model City Charter, the first versions of it that Civic League did back in 1902. Sorry? 2 minutes? I'm just going to plow along. So basically, the arguments generally are that smaller councils are going to be more efficient at making decisions simply because a smaller group of people can come to a decision faster. I think that's something that's worth challenging because in my view, decision making often has to do a lot with the level of support from the surrounding community. So I'm not really sure necessarily that smaller councils are necessarily better or more efficient. They can be less parochial in the sense that, you know, one of the things that people who have advocated for with smaller councils is that you know, when we have a smaller council, there's less kind of vote trading, or what they used to call log rolling, where basically, you know, a council member who has no real interest in the decision being made will simply kind of trade his or her vote with another council member in order to kind of support them on something else. Larger councils certainly have the strengths of being potentially at least more representative of different geographies, of different sets of people, and potentially is more engaging. Well, that too is also worth interrogating. I'm not really sure that just by itself, a larger council leads to more engagement. In fact, in many cases, it doesn't. It can be a part of the answer, but it's not necessarily the whole answer. With engagement, some of the other parts of the answer, again, are worth thinking through. So one thing actually is the size of the staff in the council member's office. If that's where the action is going to be, if that's where a lot of the engagement work is going to happen, and there is, as you probably know, a whole lot of work in engagement, all the work Lynn and those guys are doing right now. You know, there's whatever format, whether it's an assembly, whether it's PD, whether it's something else or something else, you need people to be recruiting participants. You need them to facilitate sessions. You need to be doing things online, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of work involved. And an argument for a smaller, you know, council is that, well, okay, if the council members are going to do a lot of that work, they need helpers. And we need, so one example is New York City, where participatory budgeting is kind of going on across the city, and each council member has people who do that for that area, for that ward. So that's one model. Another factor, though, can be supports from the city, from the central kind of you know, bureaucracy of the city. Are they doing training and skill building? Are they doing communications? Are they helping council members engage with their residents? You can locate the work, you know, in a more central way, and in some ways that can be more efficient. A big question also, though, is the capacity of the intermediary groups. What are the neighborhood associations, homeowners groups, PTAs, community organizing outfits, all kinds of things that are out there that engage people in all kinds of things relating to their neighborhood or their city. In many cases, those groups are not doing that well. They've been declining for years. And in many ways, one thing you can be doing to give people more of a voice is helping those groups get better, get more engaging. And that's what those apps I showed you might be helpful for. Another factor that's really important is whether there's popular demand for it. Do people want to engage? And in general, most surveys suggest that people in America actually do want a lot more voice in public decision making, problem solving, and they're quite frustrated that they're not getting it. The problem is that they don't usually have options in front of them how that might be possible. Once you put options in front of them, people tend to pick all of the above. They want more of these sorts of things. The big problem is that they don't know that they exist. A factor in improving public engagement is measuring it, which most cities don't do and don't do very well. It's not that hard. It's really a matter of kind of having different tools, and we do some of this ourselves, that give people a chance to kind of rate their democracy, to rate their community as far as whether they feel informed, connected, that they have a meaningful say in decisions they care about, is their volunteerism supported and honored. And then finally, I think in many cases, in some of the shining examples of engagement actually in the US, you've got not just city council and perhaps a larger council, I mean, it's a city role in this and a larger city council. You've also got some sort of plan which is supported by a cross-sector group of organizations, community foundations, universities, school systems, all kinds of other groups, because they can do this work much more effectively together than any one of them can do it on their own. And this is the last one. So if you think about kind of what this might look like, you know, a larger city council and different kind of actions by local government are part of the picture, but there's lots of different sorts of things that can be part of your kind of cross-sector plan to support engagement and to make people feel more represented, more heard, to give them more of a role in problem solving, decision making, and community building. I think I'll stop there. Are we going to be able to do some Q&A for both of us, Lynn?
Matt? Yes, we're going to move to a Q&A. Just give us time to go through the next presentation, and then we'll let you know when Q&A begins.
Sorry.
We're going to do the final presentation here, and then we'll do Q&A together in just a moment.
This is Rob Kwan.
Maybe name one, two people at best.
Steven, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, fabulous. You've got 5 minutes. Go ahead and start answering as many of those questions as you'd like, or whichever ones you'd like in 5 minutes.
Okay. I love the question about government that's expeditious,
You've got
right?
5 minutes. Go ahead and start answering as many of those questions as you'd like, whichever ones you'd like.
Okay.
Oh, hold on a
Yeah,
second. The
exactly.
delay.
I don't know if we can
Whoa,
fix
whoa, whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on just a
That's
second.
expeditious. Right. Should I try again?